Welcome to the FaceTime with God podcast. I'm your host, Kay Farrar, and yes, you have tuned in to the right place because we're bringing Christ to the culture and the culture to Christ. Because the gospel's not for old times, it's for all times. So we've got relevant topics, real people, and we're starting right now. So, on the music tip, let me ask you this. At one point they came out with this thing and they were saying hip hop is dead. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I think hip hop, it's not dead. It's not dead at all. I think it's only 50 years old. I don't think it can't die that fast. I think it is being revamped. Hold on, pause. We can cut this spot out. Because I want to take it here. I really want to take it to a place. No, we don't have to pause. I'll just say, hip hop isn't dead. I think it looks different now. What we did was we let a lot of other people in, a lot different people in. So it looks different now. But I think if you find the root, the real hip hop is still there with the strong message that is political. Okay. That is,
because I was about to ask you, what makes a song hip hop versus something else?
For
other than the beat, message wise, what is there a message for hip hop?
No, I don't think hip hop has a specific message because you can listen to 10 different songs and they'll hit 10 different topics. That's what I love about hip hop, because you can have a hip hop song that's talking about love. You can have a hip hop song that's talking about God. You can have a hip hop song that's talking about food. You know what I mean?
Well, how is that different from R&B?
R&B, I think, is specifically love.
Okay. For
me.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I haven't been a big R&B person, but now that you say that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I think
it makes perfect sense.
I think R&B is specifically love. I got a question for you. What is the difference between a gospel song and a worship song?
It's different ways that you can look at that. Almost just like when we talk about hip hop, because I have had musicians and people tell me, depending on, for example, like a keyboardist, they will tell you and talk about gospel from a music construction standpoint. In other words, there are certain chords.
Theory.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That are considered gospel. I was looking at a program where they were talking about Negro spirituals, and pretty much the guy was making a point that all the Negro spirituals were written on the black keys predominantly, which is kind of ironic. Right. But they were on a pentatonic scale, and which interestingly enough, the majority of rap and hip hop is also on the black keys. Right. Primarily because a lot of hip hop artists aren't real, quote unquote. Ooh. I know, I had to catch myself, right? Quote unquote trained. Let's say it that way. Trained musicians. So those are the only. And see, you can hit any black key and it'll go with any other. So you don't have to know music theory, like you pointed out, to make a song. But yeah, so but worship really is supposed to be about God, or written to God, or taking people, ushering them into the presence of God by worshiping Him. And, versus gospel is about your life with God, right? Or God in your life. So they're all edifying types of music from a Christian standpoint, but worship should strictly be focused on God and what He is doing and who He is, really. Okay. More so, that would be my definition. But what do you think? That's a good question, though.
I don't know who I heard spoke about this, but I was always of the thought that a worship song has to, like you said, glorify God. So when I hear glorify God, it can't have a word like I in it. If I hear so I listen to worship music every morning.
Okay.
Since my first deployment, my mom always taught me that, like, you know, what you feed your spirit is important. How you start your day is important.
That's awesome.
So I have a playlist. I have a gospel playlist, but I have a worship playlist. And even now with my daughter, we do that in the morning. That's going to be something that we always do. Start the day with worship. And all of those songs are strictly God, you know, we worship you type songs, right? But if you go to a Mary Mary song, usually, I'm sure they do have worship songs, but those are more, I call it feel good music. And that's not wrong. Yeah. But if we're talking about worship, I think it's different than feel good music. Yeah. Or feel good Christian music. Yeah. I'll say.
Absolutely. Yep. It's all about God versus all about you and your life with God. Yeah. So it's closely related, you know, but one is a different focus. So yeah. I love that you do that every morning. That's so cool.
Yeah, I think it helps when you start the day. Corey Henry. Have you heard of him?
I haven't.
Wow. So you probably have heard of him.
Corey Henry. What are some songs?
You don't know any songs from him, but you know him because probably you saw a video a long time ago. He's probably like 6 or 7 on the organ. Oh. And he was really good then.
Oh, okay.
But he just dropped an album called Church. Okay. And I like him a lot because he doesn't only do gospel music. He does a lot of funk right now.
Oh, okay. How old is he?
He's maybe 37.
All right. Maybe I do know.
I'm sure you do.
I know that. Was he playing with a jazz fusion group?
He has his own jazz fusion.
I think group. I know. Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
He has an album called Church. It just dropped maybe 2 weeks ago, and I have had it on repeat.
Really?
And that one is like old Pentecostal music, songs that we know, but he's a funk guy, so like it feels good. It feels really good. Okay. He's got Kiera Sheard on there. Okay. Donnie McClurkin. John P. Key.
All right, I have to check it out. I do know. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I always like to pull up some statistics or what have you. And it's so crazy. I always like my statistics to be the current year. When I look up for 2024, the numbers are always running behind. But what I was looking at, they were talking about how many people listen to rap and hip hop in America. And they're saying pretty much almost a third or over 90 million Americans, you know, consider themselves listeners and supporters of hip hop. So yeah, it's not dead. And the way the trend was going, you know, from 2017 to the last time they took these numbers, which is today, 2017, it was 25% of the people. 2021, which was the last time they reported on here. I tried to get 2024, but 2021 is as far as it went, it was up to 27%. So it went up. It went up 2%. It jumped up in 2018 a little bit higher to 31%, but you know, it doesn't look like it's trending down. I don't know what it is this particular year, but it does not look like it's trending down. And in terms of album sales and everything, what would you say? Album sales versus on-demand audio streaming. I know this is probably an easy one, but what do you think is the highest right now?
I mean, definitely streaming.
Yeah.
But I think your research is flawed.
Okay.
Because I think if we're just looking at it, I don't even think Americans are the biggest consumers of rap anymore.
Well, they also looked at it in the UK and around the world, and the numbers were different. You're right. I was just looking at America because that's where we are.
I only say that because I think that's my issue with rap that's being pushed. Oh. Hip hop that's being pushed versus rappers like me or rappers like even somebody with substance, essentially. Anybody with substance, those guys aren't being pushed. And this is what Kanye was talking about when everybody was saying he was blah, 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 whatever. But basically what he's talking about is the rap that is feeding our souls or feeding the culture or feeding just Black people in general, or that is presenting Black people in a different light, those aren't the rappers or the musicians that are being pushed. The musicians that the world sees are, I'm trying to be political, but they're the people that don't look the best for our culture.
Wow.
So
those are the ones that they are promoting.
Yes.
The people that are doing ignorant stuff.
Exactly.
Is basically what you're saying.
So you go to China, Thailand, or anywhere in the world, they see your skin and they automatically connect it to this person that you've never even done anything remotely close to what they rap like.
Wow.
But they think that's what African Americans are. So that's why I asked about the rest of the world.
So is that a money thing? And are we also feeding into that? Because, okay, so would you consider yourself a conscious rapper, or is that an old term? Or
I think I don't consider myself a conscious rapper. I just make music. I won't put a label on it, but I'm sure some people would.
Okay, but you say that you have substance, right? Versus somebody that's just talking about money and girls and clubs, right? But who's buying these albums, one versus the other? And what I'm saying is, are we helping as a culture? Are we feeding the ones that are putting out the junk? And then are the promoters and the people who make money off of the music seeing where the money's going, and then they jump on that bandwagon, and that's why those rappers are getting pushed? Because if people didn't buy those albums, they wouldn't get pushed. I don't know.
No, I agree. I understand what you're saying. I don't think I can't put the fault on us as a community. Okay. Because we don't have the numbers to really push that, right? Who does is the people outside of our communities. Those are the people that are going to spend money on the artists, the ignorant artists, right?
Wow.
And they're going to spend money on the ignorant artists because they have a connection that feels like entertainment. It feels like they're watching a movie, or it feels just fun almost. When most times the ignorant artists are rapping things that are happening in their malnourished neighborhoods, and they're really going through real life things. That's why I can fault them to a certain extent, but they don't know. They don't even know any better. If you talk to some of these guys, which I have, they don't know any better. Like, you can't even have a legit conversation with these guys because they just don't know.
Wow.
Their schools have outdated books. They're understaffed. You know what I mean? It's just so many things that are up against them. Now, some could argue that some people do get out. Some people do have a good head on their shoulders, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of things against them.
Wow. Yeah, so you're saying it's not so much the culture that's pushing. I kind of like this term. It just came to me, but I kind of like that term. Yeah. It's not our culture so much that's pushing the ignorant music, right? Yeah. We feed into it. It's, in a sense, our story in a lot of ways. The thing I don't like about it is anything that's put up on a big screen, so to speak, it could be a real story. So it's somebody's truth, but now it goes from being one person's truth to another person's aspiration, right? Who didn't even live that truth. So in other words, now we're spreading ignorance to other people who didn't know anything about it, even in our community, and now they want to adopt it. Like, you got kids from the suburbs, trying to be super, super hard, like somebody that came from a really tough inner city neighborhood, when their parents are paying for them to go to private school and trying to that's why they're sending them to private school, so they can actually get an education, and they're walking around trying to learn how to be ignorant. You know what I mean? So now they're aspiring to something that's not even really their truth, which is still bringing the culture in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And if our people didn't even put that, if we didn't subscribe to it, like, you know, if we didn't promote it, somebody else couldn't take it and promote it to the next level either. And I kind of wish sometimes that we didn't, but like you said, you know, some people, they don't even know any better. But it was like, man, you know, back in the day, we had actors and things who they would miss out on a good role, a good paying role, because it put Black folks in a really bad light. They would just turn it down versus doing something that disrespected even the struggle and disrespected our community. But nowadays they're like, shoot, yeah, I'll play Sambo, you know, pay me, I'll do it. No, not really understanding. And now you're promoting that even more so. And there are some people who didn't think that way that'll now think differently in a negative way because of the role you signed up to play. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I set a bar and I said that we are more American than Black. Mm. And what I meant by that was a lot of things, but to comment on what you said, we don't have any real Black leaders.
Wow.
One, we also, the kids, families from the suburbs, and just Black people that are more well off than other, the poorer communities, we almost don't even want to associate with poor communities. And what that does is, one, there's no unity. And
you hitting a lot of buttons.
And two, like when there's no unity, we have different pockets of Black. So, and that's really what we're talking about in the music. There's different pockets of Black. So you might have the conscious rapper, you might have the ignorant rapper. I'm not even gonna call him ignorant rapper. You might have the hood rapper, and you might have the gospel singer. You might have the jazz guy that doesn't like any of the rap. We need unity, and we need real Black leaders. Like I can't name Cornelius. What is this? Cornelius West. That's his guy. That's his name. That guy's what, 70? Maybe 80. I can't look to the Pharrells, the Jay-Z's, because those guys are billionaires. And no fault to them. They got their money and then they left. Wow. Which, I mean,
you know what I would almost even say? I'm a fan of Farrar, for real. One, because he's from Virginia, and two, because I liked some interaction that I had with him a little bit at a distance. But, one of our singers actually got selected to be a part of a group that he helped put together in Virginia Beach. And I went and participated in the concert and things and just saw the way he presented himself and how he acted towards the young people. It just made me a fan of his. I respected him. But to your point, I think one of the things you were saying, they got their money and left. You know what? I would even add to that. I look at it like they left and got their money. And by that, what I would say, and it was very smart. One of the things that I have seen, very smart from an industry perspective, right? Is I have seen people who just go to the grind, right? And just say, I'm going to work, and work my way up, even in music, right? I'm going to go out, I'm going to sell, back in the day, selling tapes or CDs out of your trunk. You probably saw some people sometimes, you pull up, you're ready to go to the grocery store and people are like, hey, I got a CD. Sometimes they're giving them out, right? Yeah. They'll just push CDs until they reach enough people, or they'll just do, street musicians, and they'll just do that thing, pushing that way until they can just grind their way to the next level in music. And that is one road you can take, but it is a very, very tough road, right? And the great majority of people never make it anywhere doing that other than around the block, for real, right? But the ones who make it to the next level, They got grinding in them because you got to grind to put the music out. But they don't do it door by door, car by car, block by block, because you'll wear yourself out. Mm-hmm. What they do is they get pulled up to the next level, meaning, they get a bigger stage. They go after connections at a higher level and they break their way in. Mm-hmm. So when I say left and got their money, meaning they didn't try it at the ground troops level, they pursued it at a higher level, because the other thing is, you get the name dropping. Like even you say Farrar, right? You can say you rap with the guy, young rapper here in the neighborhood. And they can say, I rap with Jimmy Soulero, and they're like, that's cool. I see him online and everything. But if he says, I got invited to rap with Farrar, and they're like, for real. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden everybody want to look at his music. So as a young Farrar, if he could get in with P. Diddy, or if he could get in with somebody already in New York, or somebody that already had a big name, or if he could go over to Fashion Week, in France and play his music and mix the music with the fashion. And then all the people in France on Fashion Week, they're doing his music. Mm-hmm. Then he comes back to the hood or comes back here. They were like, oh, you were at Fashion Week, in Paris? Like, really? So in other words, left and got your money, right? Is what I'm saying, which is a really great strategy. Being recognized by somebody, being pulled up versus trying to climb your way up. Mm-hmm. But the thing of it is, okay, now that you're there, what do you do with the people that are down here, so to speak? What do you do with the people back in the hood? And I just think, really what you said about there's no unity. Oh my gosh. There's no real Black leaders. And I would agree. It's like back in my mom's day, if Martin Luther King said, you know what, we're going to march on Washington. Mm-hmm. That was back before cell phones. That was back before the internet. So for them to organize and pass the word and get people moving, and they say, Dr. King said we're going to march. Dr. King said we're going to march. Mm-hmm. Did y'all hear Dr. King? They passed that word by word of mouth. And if people had to get off work, if they had to rearrange, if they had to pack little, lunches, if they had to organize buses, if they had to, they went dressed, so they had to get their attire together. Whatever they had to do, when they heard that word that Dr. King said we were going to do something, they followed the leader.
You want to know the difference?
Uh-huh.
The difference is now we're too comfortable. We're comfortable as a whole. Like even the people that are in the worst situations, they're probably less comfortable. But most people aren't in those situations. Most people have at least $40,000 job, $50,000 job, maybe a little, somewhere in there. But what they don't have, they're not in segregation. They don't have blatant police brutality like they had then. They don't have, we think that we are so much further, and we are, I would say we are, but that's the difference, one. And the leader part, I want to comment on that, is the leaders that we have, and I'm not going to name drop just for the sake of it, but they are so tied. They're comfortable as well. They're comfortable with the millions of dollars they're making, and we see it now. Now, I won't say where we see it at, but we see how things are happening in the world, and nobody's commenting on it. And they're not commenting on it is because their paycheck is involved. And that's the difference. Wow. We're comfortable. There's no unity. We don't have real leaders. The real leaders would say, take your money. Keep your money, but this needs to be said.
I think a lot of people just want to talk about the problem, but they ain't trying. But then, and they get all hyped. Yeah, they doing this unless somebody gets shot and drugged through the street or whatever, beat down, choked out. Everybody gonna be up in their arms about it. But then who is gonna go down and sit down and figure out what can we do to change that? And then when you want to have a meeting, you want to sit up all night and work up some plan, they got to go. Like, everybody got time to sit. We don't got time for that. We say we do, But then when you in the trenches trying to put together something to fix something, don't hardly nobody have time for it. I'm talking about in our community. They don't. Because you know why? Just what you said. They're too comfortable. Mm-hmm. They're even comfortable in their less than status. Mm-hmm. That is too comfortable. Because they didn't get hit in the head last week. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Their child just didn't get raped. Mm-hmm. You know, whatever.
Exactly. It's that simple. I mean, this is not on the same page, but it kind of is. America needs to change, right? The world needs to change. Everybody needs to change, right? But
yeah,
you remember when that group of people they fled the Capitol.
You said fled?
Yeah, they rushed the Capitol.
Oh yeah. The thing with Trump?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And everybody can feel how they feel about it politically, right? But if we look at the root of what they did, how they did it, that is what I'm talking about.
Right.
Those are the type of things that have to happen for those. That's like real change. That's Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Those are things that we have to have that fire.
That kind of passion.
And if we don't have that passion, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even, like when things happen, I'm not talking about it because y'all are going to march. We're past marching now.
And that's the thing. That's the one thing people will do is they will protest, but that's about the extent of it.
That's
about the extent of it.
Because one, the government knows, okay, let them march, cool.
Then they get it out of their system.
Yeah, get them out of their system. And then now it's back to memes on Instagram.
Right.
There is no revolution without bloodshed.
There isn't. There
real revolution.
Yeah. Let me think about that.
Let me
one. Think about that.
You can't name one.
Let me think about that. Without bloodshed.
There's no revolution.
All right, look. Let me. I'm just thinking as.
You can take all the time you need. I'm telling you.
I know because I agree with you. I agree with you, and I'm trying to not agree with you. Because what you're saying then is. What I'm trying to do ain't gonna go nowhere. Unless some blood is shed.
Unless God has a different plan. I'm just speaking historically.
And you're right. And you are right. Like I said, I was struggling because I wanted you to be wrong.
Oh no.
Because I want something to change. In other words, because I want a change to start happening. And I don't know what to say. Then how are we going to change right now?
No, we need people like you to care, and we need people like you to consistently work at it. I've just seen so much around the world, and I've seen, like I'm a history buff, so I just look at things.
Right.
And without like true revolution, like true us against whoever. And not us as in only black people, us like the people against whoever.
Right.
It won't happen. And I don't think we'll get there. I think we will get somewhere else before we get there.
Wow. Somewhere else good?
No.
Wow.
And not this, I don't know. I mean, the Bible say what's going to happen, but I don't know when. But I'm just saying, if we just look at the mind state of the Americans, or of the world in general, we're just not at a place where people are smart. I just feel like most people are robots almost. They just, you know what I mean?
You know what I was saying the other day on the car? Yeah, they are. Most people are robots. Well, Jimmy, I know you're not a robot.
No.
And you can get mad at me if you want to.
What?
But I ain't gonna let you go either. In the sense that whether you want, and you can't make anybody do anything. So, but you're gonna have to go against me. You're gonna go ahead because I'm gonna sign you up.
Sign me up to what?
I don't know yet, but I'm gonna sign you up to this. Jimmy, like what? I'm gonna sign you. I'm gonna sign you up to this bloodless revolution that we are starting. I don't even care. I don't even care that it doesn't make sense. I don't care that it goes against the odds. It goes against history. I do believe that we have enough intelligence to where it's okay It may not look like change. It may not look like a revolution, but that's okay. We can go behind closed doors. We can put some plans in place, and we can start to do some things that even if it's quiet, that might even be better. In fact, that might even be strategically what God needs for it to be, is to be a quieter movement that just ends up with monumental results that make the noise, not just a bunch of words and flashing around that's making the noise. For example, like getting some things going in our schools, like helping to infiltrate the mindset of our community and combat the other messages that are out there that are keeping us in bondage, but just put things out there to help us change our own mindset. Because when a person changes their mind, you can't stop them, right? And we can just give them that food so that, that information, that different consciousness, whatever you want to call it, so that they will on their own make up their mind to take a different path, and then they're unstoppable. So, whatever way we can do it, whatever way we can get it done.
I think it can, let me rephrase it. I don't think it cannot be done. I think it'll be a task, and I think you have a good idea, even if it's not on paper yet. But simply put, I think my generation, maybe his generation, we're too far. Your target isn't them. Your target should be my daughters, his daughters and sons, because the gap is one, education right now. If I talk to my buddy, he's a black teacher in North Carolina. If I talk to my female friend, she's a teacher in New York. And the kids their reading level is low. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's where they get us. That's where they got us in the beginning.
Exactly.
And that's where they're getting us now.
Yep.
So what has to happen is, one, but they're also getting us because our school systems in most areas are not the best.
Exactly.
They're not, the teachers aren't being paid. It's all strategic in my eyes, right? But what has to happen is education. And I think the Nation of Islam, reading about what they used to do, and even probably still do, but in the beginning for sure, I'm not a Muslim by any means, but I always love and just respected their unity. Wow. And I wish the church had that. But this is past religion, I think. I think if we're just speaking about just a group of people, it should be all of our religions, whatever religion you choose. Obviously, we lead with what we believe, but that shouldn't be a barrier to help, right? But what they did was bring these communities together, and they used to go inside of people's, I read a story about a kitchen. They used to have a restaurant. Restaurant closes at 7. The kids will come in to clean the restaurant up, and now they're learning things like maybe it's karate, or learning how to read. Maybe this student needs help on this, but whatever it is, it has to be that deep. It has to just be that union of group of people wanting better for our future generations. Because if not, the trajectory that we're going now is going to get worse. Yeah. And
so, you just signed yourself up, Jimmy. You just signed yourself up. And I want you to see my vision and mission and our problem statement, because we do have some things on paper, and you'll be surprised how exactly lined up with what you just said it is. So I'm going to force myself, because we'll probably run out of every storage that we have on the camera talking to you, because it's that good. I have really enjoyed this conversation, and I can't wait till the next step. And everybody's going to enjoy your music as well. So thank you for stopping by, Mr. Soulero. And the next time you come by, I might just have my sombrero.
Okay, got it.
But thank you for stopping by. Colossians 3:23 and 24. And whatever you do, do it with all your heart, as unto the Lord and not unto men, knowing that it's of the Lord that you shall receive the reward of the inheritance, because you serve the Lord Christ.